Guys, welcome back. So today we're going to continue on this series on helping you guys navigate your way from the tee box with whatever issues you're having with your driver ball flight.
Slice or hook in this case, we're going to get into someone that overdraws the ball.
Exactly. So the slice driver was semi-controversial in the sense that there was, some of you felt that we were maybe indicating that mechanics were being overlooked and, we were just trying to, buy a game. We'd be as well just coming out and kind of addressing that one. That was not the case at all. The reality is there are some of you guys we can help by giving you advice on how to navigate that through equipment in sort of conjunction with good technique and working with an instructor. Obviously,
of course,
we've said that in enough videos. I mean, the avid viewers know our stance on that stuff. So for anyone who hasn't been with us all that long and doesn't know as well enough to know that is firmly our stance of the importance of good mechanics. We're not saying this, this is instead of lessons.
No, but important to say that if you're not going to get lessons, which is true for a lot of people, at least there are some things you can do through your equipment, through a fitting session, to correct your ball flight.
You're an example. Before you done all your great work with Larry this year, we done some club testing prior to the PGA show this year, and we made some big changes to your ball flight,
big time,
with your swing the way that it was before, and you were unhappy with certain things. So, guys, just to clear that one up, that's a little asterisk to the video here. Definitely. So today we're specifically addressing the player who, from the tee box, gets a little too much draw or hook, more of a hook. The draw is fine, the hook not so much.
Gotcha.
So someone who curves it a little bit too much, and let's kind of give that player a little bit of context as to why. First and foremost, that
happens,
might be becoming an issue. Some of the ways you might want to address it, and then ways in which you can sort of go about choosing the right and selecting the right equipment for that tendency.
How to configure, you're going to recommend a head, obviously, that's probably the best in the market for this. We're going to talk about shafts that are best for that, and how to configure. The adjustable hosel is so good on most drivers. Like we've got an M4 in my hand here. So many things you can do through the weights on some clubs or the face angle. So kind of narrow you guys into what to do with that. And it's not as common, obviously, to hit a hook as a slice, so this video might not apply to everyone. However, if you're someone with the slice right now, you may work on your swing and you might start struggling with a hook. There's dynamics to both that you do get people that have kind of tendencies both ways.
That's right. So here's our kind of, last time we kind of created a scenario. The scenario last time with the fader was the fader created too much spin, self-diagnosed to end up buying a low spin driver, CG was in the wrong place, face wouldn't close, the fade got worse.
Absolutely.
This scenario is one that I see also very often. So the player who hooks it, the hook obviously has a lower ball flight. Okay, so path is going in Matt's case a little bit left, face is too much to the right. We know that as the club face is closing, we're losing loft. You're hitting the ball too low. You're self-diagnosing yourself that you have this lovely new TaylorMade driver, and you see this hosel setting, and you're going higher and lower. So, I want to hit it a little bit higher. So I'll go a little bit towards that higher setting, and I'm going to go and hit some balls there. Little do you know that higher also plays with lie angle, higher plays with face angle, and both are going in the wrong direction for said player.
Absolutely.
So that's where we're going to start our kind of today's scenario. Hopefully, there's some people this is resonating with. I love the comments on the last video because we get exactly what we wanted from it, which was you guys going, "This is me."
Yeah, exactly.
There was tons of those, and that's exactly what I was hoping for when we set out with last week's video. Is I hope that there was some people would be watching and would go, "That's me. This video is going to help."
And that driver you started with is kind of what I have, and I didn't get the results I wanted to get.
Exactly. So I hope there's someone out there that we've maybe just described that set of scenario, that set of circumstances. They kind of overhook it a little bit. They've adjusted their driver to try and get a little bit more height to try and maybe take the sting out that kind of raking hook. And they've actually made it a little worse.
They've overcorrected the face to be more closed.
Correct. Yeah, that face is now pointing more to the right for you as a lefty, or left side for a right-handed golfer.
Okay, so let's treat this again like we did last time as a fitting session. I'm coming in with this club. Delivery-wise, what do you see for a player that does hit hook? Is it kind of 7-ish degrees in to out?
Yeah, so swing direction gets a little, a little left.
Yep.
So we're kind of a little into out on the path. Probably because of that, path being left, angle of attack gets a little bit up.
Positive, okay.
So you've kind of got that scenario where the angle of attack is up, the path is going left, the face is over-correcting, therefore you're losing loft. Spin loft is narrowing. Okay. We know when we narrow spin loft that we increase spin axis tilt. Okay. And that way we make an uncontrollable ball flight.
That's when it really starts to whip.
We start really getting that curvature is a little too aggressive. So even if your ball hits the fairway, you can often find that your ball scampers off the fairway.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's actually a good point, because you may land a ball in the fairway based on your alignment, but it's probably still going to end up rolling out of there. Okay. Exactly. All right, let's get started.
So let's hit a few. So set this driver up very, very kind of generic to that circumstance. Perfect.
That is a hook.
That's perfect. Okay, Matty, great first swing. You've shown me everything there that really we are seeing in the description we just talked about. So that one's missed 40.7 yards to the right. Big miss.
Yep.
Missed the fairway, well in the rough, potentially in trouble. You've given me exactly what we needed. 10 degrees of dynamic loft, 4.5 upward angle of attack. Path was significantly into out, face was closed. Actually a little open to the target. I mean, that 1.7 is close to the path. So, if we look at the actual ball flight, it started left.
Yeah.
But like we just said, the problem there for you is that your spin loft is so low, spin axis is tilted so severely, even though you've started that golf ball left of your line.
It's going to do that.
Yeah, so that basically has had, maybe close to 50
50-ish yards of movement.
Of curvature.
So if I'm on the golf course and I want to play that shot, what if there's trees near the tee box on the left? You can't play that shot.
Try play that down Augusta's
18
feet out the chute.
And I've played with lots of people that have a nice consistent shape, whether it looked like that or not. There's certain holes they just can't play.
That's right. So that one was very typical of this golfer that we're describing, and that was a lovely swing. It was a lovely strike. It was all good, but you're kind of scratching your head, going, I can't do much better than that.
The conditions of that, as you say, with the dynamic loft being so low.
Yeah.
I mean, what has to occur to not hook the ball in that situation? It would have to be really open, but just enough.
A little bit more open. If you keep the face to the left more, you retain dynamic loft.
Right.
You retain a little bit of spin. Spin axis starts to calm down a little bit.
Stabilizes a bit.
So you stabilize the flight through that.
Right.
So really kind of really loft, because you actually would say that face angle would be okay in order to still hit the ball in the fairway. I mean,
not bad, right?
Not that bad. 4.6 degrees left of the target line, and it still went 40 yards right. That's largely down to these sort of relatively low, mid-launch, low spin conditions that we've got.
Yep.
Upward angle of attack, low delivered loft. That's the golfer that we're trying to kind of help here.
And important to say that if you are someone with this kind of delivery, that shot is sort of your best case scenario. I mean, you're obviously going to get ones where you close the face another 2 degrees. That ball is gone. Like it's this far off the ground and gone with just a little tweak.
That's right. This player generally hits it plenty far enough.
Yeah.
So for them, they're actually quite happy to lose a little bit of yardage in order to pick up a few fairways.
Yep.
I mean, you've flown that there, 300, 326 total. Peak height 109, 37, 38 angle descent. All good stuff. Nothing wrong with the ball flight, Matty.
Yep.
Just this right here. This
that
kind
curvature.
Of real kind of aggressive exaggerated curve is our problem, and that's over here for me. That's in this backspin scenario to try and help stabilize that ball flight. So.
And just quickly before you make your main adjustments, if I wanted to take this and set it on lower, so maybe I did some reading and I know that lower opens the face, and I think that's going to help my hook. The problem is now you're delivering probably 2 degrees even less loft.
That's right.
You're going to hook it more now.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Okay, so loft is going to be big time your friend when you're trying to fight an overdraw.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. All
Let's
right.
get to it. That's a hook.
Okay, Matty, second shot there, followed that one up with a really nice strike, we have to say. I mean, we always preach about strike point and how important that is.
Yeah.
You'll find that for most people, if they hit it in that, part of the head, that they're going to get a pretty good result. That for you though is a killer spot because again it's just killing that backspin. So path into out, face is closed more there, and look at the spin axis tilt on that one.
So that shot we just said quickly, let's illustrate one where the person who hits a hook sometimes, this is their nightmare shot when they kind of quack one into a pond. And it's funny enough, I mean the difference in the numbers is mainly just the face was slightly closed on the decent shot, and that one it was pretty closed, and all of a sudden you are just off the planet hitting it, duck hooking it 20, 40 yards right to start, and it'll just keep going.
Yeah, that's exactly it, and we've actually got the same relationship between loft. So the previous swing we had 5 degrees of upward angle of attack, 10 degrees of dynamic loft. So we're generalizing. It's not an exact science. The face to path discrepancy will influence spin loft, but if we just go off of loft versus angle of attack, we can get really close to what the spin loft would be. So if we call it 5 on both, that's a problem. We want the spin loft to be, up in the kind of 12 degree mark.
Really? That much?
That would be nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you were delivering, call it 16 degrees of dynamic loft, hitting up on it 3 or 4 degrees, you're going to hit an awfully good drive.
Right, gotcha.
So there's a result of what, when the spin loft gets too low, what that looks like.
Right.
You just get obviously a really closed face relative to the path.
Yeah.
Really low spin rate. So really, what I think most people are kind of hearing us keep harping on about here, spin rate.
Spin rate,
Backspin. Yeah. Our ability to retain backspin will be our ability to control our ball.
And keep the ball in the air versus diving right. Okay.
Big time. So let's set a few more, get a little bit more data to work with here. Then we're going to switch out. We're going to focus in on all these sorts of things, a little bit of dynamic loft, try and help the backspin. Head choice, like we always say, plays such a pivotal role in retaining spin. CG further back in the head, that type of thing. Okay?
All right.
Let's set this one. All right, Matty, we've made a couple little changes here. We kind of knew which direction we were going to be going in. It's no secret in the terms of the head selection. The viewers on the channel who have been with us all season, probably heard our views about the most forgiving driver out there. No question, G400 Max would be my go-to, every day of the week on this particular one. So it's just so much more stable.
Yeah, we're adding spin just immediately, no matter how you hit it, no matter how bad the swing is, it's incrementally better than the other one.
Well, when we look at delivery, and we look at, you know, the way you're delivering the golf club, if we look at the averages, the face to path is obviously the biggest thing that you'd look at. Okay, that's why you're hitting the hook.
Yeah,
it's the same.
Yeah,
you actually get more. You've got a little bit more into out with the path, so potentially you're going to get that face shutting down more. But as we alluded to when we were hitting M4, Matty, the dynamic loft, controlling that dynamic loft was going to be the key here.
Yep.
It wasn't so much the delivery that this was a shocking delivery.
Right.
It was you just didn't have enough spin on that particular golf club in order to stabilize your ball flight.
Right.
So we've kicked the spin up about another 600 RPMs. Sure, you're hitting that a little bit high, but the curvatures, it's not even close.
So much more manageable.
So much more manageable. If we go over here and kind of look at those two ball flights, I mean, for the same carry distance, you know, it's a little bit high in the flight, but we're going to take that where you're in the fairway all day.
Yeah.
Flighting it in the air 290 something. We love it.
You're going to have to take a bit of a trade-off, it's important to say. If your mechanics, the way we left them, will be the same, you're going to be quite severely from the inside.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bit of a closed face. You're going to have to go this route in order to kind of really stabilize your worst shot.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you know, for our players out there who, you know, are really prone to hitting the odd bomb,
yep,
but also prone to not hitting too many fairways,
that's the thing.
Sounds a bit like our good friend T Woods.
It does sound a lot.
You know,
like
that was him early in the season, wasn't it?
Yep.
He was chasing the yards.
True.
He was trying to get his ball speed up there with the big guys. Doesn't need to be there. Doesn't need to spin it as low as that.
No.
Kind of figured that out pretty late in the season.
Won a tournament.
Won a tournament. Everything else was there in his game waiting for it. So
it's true.
There's a lot of people who can learn from that.
Okay. See a couple more.
See a couple more.
So again, we're trying to standardize that delivery as much as we can.
Yeah, and are you feeling any kind of real differences here? You know, you're just starting that ball down the left-hand side.
I'm just adjusting. Well, to me, I'm trying to picture a hole where there's a dog leg to the right,
yep,
and trying to really rope one around the corner.
Okay. Excellent. That's nice.
That's nice, right?
Yeah, that one's lovely. That one's really nice.
That's really nice. So honestly, the way that came off, it kind of felt like I was going to hit a bad hook there.
Did it really?
Yeah, but it just sort of, well, one, it seemed to rise a bit, I guess, with the spin.
Yeah, a little spin.
But that's...
Yeah, so you probably felt a little bit of toe strike, associated that with a bit of a hook.
Yeah.
Because normally your spin rate is low. When, you know, your spin rate gets in the low 2000s,
yeah,
you can certainly gear it right. Yeah, it's pretty good. The ball speed is exactly the same as with the other one. The launch is 1 degree more. The spin rate is more. So that's so much of the head DNA.
Yeah. Amazing that it's able
G400.
to do that. I mean, we're basically dealing with the same amount of loft, more or less, and we're delivering so much more loft through, I guess, just the weight of the header, the way it's pairing with the shaft. We're getting a lot more delivered loft, and that's what's kicking the spin up.
So there's our sort of our net result there. So we have brought in a slightly higher ball flight, and you know, if you and I were in a session right now, we would maybe work in a couple of things just to lower that launch a little bit. We might work in your ball position just to flatten out the flight a fraction.
Right.
But all in all, mission accomplished for the guy who's trying to reduce the hook.
Right.
The guy who's trying to kind of hit a few more fairways and already has enough distance. You've not lost any distance there.
No.
You've actually carried it slightly further. So guaranteed yards are there. You're just, my only issue with is it flying through that high peak. Might not be great in all conditions.
In a windy day, yeah.
But you know, so as long as you have the sort of skill set to be able to flight it down a little bit, you're fine. But that's the recipe for trying to hit the straighter drive.
So we're looking at a driver like G400 Max where the center of gravity is as far back and low as possible.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at one that's, I guess, higher in MOI in terms of forgiving
high
those hits.
MOI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, you know, the time of year we're at, we're starting to hear about the drivers coming for next year. Ping are coming out with a new line for next year, but they actually haven't yet been able to improve on G400 Max.
Really?
So they've, you know, they had a version of the new version. I won't, you know, kind of mention too much about it, but they have a version of that was designed to be the next evolution of Max. Wasn't better.
Really?
Didn't
Just the same kind of thing.
So in terms of the role of this particular driver to be just uber forgiving and sort of really good for the player who's struggling off the tee,
yeah, this
is the go-to. There's no mistake in that.
And I think a lot of people will make a mistake and not pick this because everyone's going to say most fade bias drivers are like Sub-Zero. You can crank the face open.
Yeah.
And LST Ping also. You crank that face open. It's a fade bias driver. Yep. And you're just going to, I mean, yes, you may get your start line down there a bit, but the spin would be so low. And you're just going to...
Yeah, you're just not going to be able to stabilize. We keep using that word stabilize and, you know, using that term, but in terms of, let's look at the average, you know, 12.4 degrees to the right.
Right.
With this versus when we go back and you know, we obviously saw how much curvature we had with M4. It was exceptionally aggressive in its curvature. So almost double the amount of rightward spin. So big difference, obviously.
Huge difference, yeah.
And this is hopefully really beneficial to that player out there who's struggling with that part of their game.
Yeah,
it's a real benefit.
Well, with absolutely no change to the actual delivery of the swing, at least not something we did on purpose. You're looking at completely changing your ball flight with a head that probably isn't necessarily what everyone would have thought, but you're adding so much more stability to that flight that you could play some good golf 9 degrees in to out with a bit of a closed face as long as you've picked the right head style. For that delivery.
For sure.
All right.
Okay. Good, guys. You know, another addition to this series. Earlier on, we touched upon the fixes for the player or the driver that works well for the player who gets a little steep on it. Whenever Cobra F8 Plus was a great driver. Last time we talked a little bit about trying to help the player who hits the slice. Today it's the player who hits the hook, and then we're going to follow this up with a video that's going to be relevant to the player who hits it too high. So that's something we hear a little bit about as well.
Yeah.
So to be honest, we could start with this set of circumstances right here.
True enough.
So, but that type of player who hits a nice drive but hits it too high, we want to try and kind of help that player flatten that out a little bit.
Okay, look forward to that.
Good, excellent. Guys, appreciate you watching. Leave the comments below. Let us know if this has kind of touched a nerve with you or struck a chord and this is really something that you feel is going to help your game. I just genuinely believe so much in this Ping driver, how the benefits of it to the amateur golfer. I've looked at it myself for this year, for as little golf as I play these days. You know, I'm kind of going to a setup for myself that is a little more friendly towards the amount of golf I play. That's just being smart, and that's you know, using equipment to your advantage. So recommend you guys do the same. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us.